Look at this lovely room we're in. Hey, this is Daniel Posney, and this is Valerie Irons-Posney.
Hi.
This is my beautiful wife. So we have a special treat today. We're going to talk about darkroom retreats. And Valerie, since you just, not too long ago, did about a week in the darkroom, and she's got some direct experience to share about that. And I wanted to first start off by sharing with you a couple of events that are coming up. There's a men's retreat that I'll be doing here in Sedona in June. There's another men's retreat happening in October. And there's a Sing Your Death Song workshop that's going to be really different and really going deep into really embracing life and embracing death. And that's happening March 25th. And just look on our website, or my website to start with, danielposney.com or ultimatepotentialcoach.com, or .com. I think that's what it is. Anyway, so darkroom retreat. Why would anyone want to do something like this? And for the regular person, it's crazy. It kind of brings up all the old fears about being in a dark room and monsters and things under the bed and stuff like that. So for those people, it's not really the right thing for them because it'll just bring up old fears. But for other people that are looking for some way to kind of pull themselves out of the constant electronics and EMF and the energy of the world and kind of reset themselves, the darkroom retreat is one of the ways to do that. And I know there's actually a tribe in South America, I think it's in Colombia, called the Kogi tribe. And what they do is that this doesn't happen with everyone, but they'll choose a baby that's being born, and they know that this baby is kind of the chosen one, kind of chosen baby that's going to be selected to be in a darkroom retreat. Or why would I say darkroom retreat? It's not a retreat. It's let me see. I'm going to get back to my thing here. The speaker. No, there we go. Okay. To be the selected one of the tribe, to be the one that's really tuned into their intuition and to guidance and that kind of thing. And that happens for that child when they're in this dark room or dark cave for years. And that child comes out of that dark room or dark cave with their third eye completely open, their intuition completely open, and they become sort of the seer for the village or for the tribe. So there's so many benefits for a darkroom beyond just the health benefits of resetting our body and resetting our circadian rhythms, which is our natural way that our body processes. There's an even deeper journey that like a warrior like Valerie would do is to go into yourself and go into your fears and just be ready for those things to come up and to heal those things and integrate those things into your life. So it might be that, something comes up about a thought about yourself, or I'm not worthy, or I'm scared of the dark, that might go really deep into your psyche so that it can finally be looked at and be healed. So for some people, there's a deeper kind of a psychological healing that's going on. And then for anyone else, it really does help to kind of reset ourselves and get us away from all the electronics and all the input that the world gives to us and find ourselves. And that's why this guy, this football player, Aaron Rodgers, I think his name is, he's probably inundated with all this being in the mix of the NFL and everybody telling him what he should do and all these decisions to be made. And he says, I'm going to go in a dark room, be by myself, and see what my soul or what my higher sense has to say about this. So again, I brought Valerie in here to talk about a recent experience, and just know that what she gained from it could be like an hour-long conversation about what happened, but she's going to do her best to kind of share about what happened with this darkroom retreat.
Yeah, this will be an abbreviated version. I went there excited and very nervous, because how was I even going to fill up the day? There's going to be nothing to do, no reading, no cell phones, no journal. And so I had all these plans to do my meditation, do my qigong, do some yoga, and do more meditation and more meditation and more meditation. And when the host picked me up from the airport, he said something about people who get the most out of a dark retreat turn out to be the people who don't really know how to meditate and don't really have any plans, and the ones who are open and allow themselves to open more and to deepen, open and deepen. And so he kind of planted that seed in me, and I thought, wow, maybe I was approaching this whole thing the wrong way. So when I went in, you get to kind of do an hour here and then come out, and then an hour and come out, and then the whole night, and then come out in the morning, and then you go in. So they allow you some time to adjust and to get your markers. I was practicing walking the rug and how many steps from the rug to the toilet, which was actually 2 steps up. It was in a Cobb home up in Oregon, Sky Cave Retreats, if anybody's interested. So the toilet had a couple steps up with a handrail, and then there was a bathtub. And so I needed to memorize for my own, I needed to do that. Memorize all the steps that it would take to get to the toilet or to the sink or to the bathtub or to the big water container. So that was the first little bit of time. And then when I decided to go in, I went in, and there was just not really much to do. For the first day, I slept a lot. I caught up on all my sleep. And then I would wake up. I had a little routine. I would wake up and I would do some exercises before I got out of bed. And then I would go and have my breakfast. And every meal was brought in the evening. And I wouldn't see who was bringing it. I know that the host brought it. But he would bring a whole bunch of little containers, and I would have to divvy it up myself. So at nighttime for dinner, I would have the salad, and then there were all these little containers, or one containing sliced apples, another had nuts, another had chia pudding, another had sometimes crackers, sometimes a little cutie orange, and carrots and celery and hummus, and a big container of tea. And that was about it. So I had to divvy it up and decide what was going to be for my breakfast and what was going to be for my lunch, and eat everything in the dark, which took a little getting used to. You do tend to drop a lot of stuff. But so I had a whole little day planned, and really that only took me up to about an hour and a half, or 2 hours if it included my bath. And there's not much to do. I expected a lot of stuff to come up about myself, and a lot of stuff that I've already worked through, and it didn't come up. A couple of things came up where I got to look and see where I played a big part in the way things played out. But that was a half an hour. And so we've got an entire day with not much to do. So I allowed myself to just sink in and be. And so with that, I started to follow my breathing and be present with my breath. And then I went into my favorite meditation, which is going inside and listening to the frequency that I hear. This is my favorite way to meditate. And by the second full day, I was starting to see things. My third eye was opening. And I started to see myself in a cave. And it would kind of come and go. It wasn't very solid yet. And so there was one structure that was the inside of a cave. And later, after the days progressed, that turned into an underground kind of carved out cave-like area with steps going up and balconies and windows. And what would happen is that if I would look up, it would start to build itself as I was where I was looking. So it was interactive with me. And it was all around me. It was completely around. So if I turned my head this way, I was seeing, oops, I keep disappearing. I was seeing all this stuff over my shoulder. And so it was kind of like a 3D vision thing. And over here, there seemed to be like a castle and all these big ruins of rocks and stuff. And sometimes they would be inside and sometimes they would be outside. And sometimes there would be sky, and then aurora borealis started happening everywhere. Blues and purples and greens and these beautiful colors of these moving aurora borealises. And then they would start happening inside the rooms of these structures. There were no people, but it looked almost like party lights going off and on in these different rooms. And then it would, this is over a few days, by the way. So then it would look like I had put on those glasses that help you to see rainbows. And so everywhere I was looking, I could see all these rainbows shooting out, and it was really beautiful. And there were also these little windows that would come up like an old movie from the 20s where the screen is black and then it would open up and you would see the scene inside, and then it would close up and the scene would be gone. There were these scenes that would open up, and like clay would build itself up into a mountain and then unbuild, and then the hole would close, and then over here it would build itself up and close down. And that would happen, and that progressed into origami, moving origami shapes happening, and all sorts of things like that. So after a day of this, I thought, God, is this it? This is cool, but is this it? Because I kept having questions about what was happening. Not so much questions, but I was labeling things, and it was very, very mind oriented, very, very mind oriented. And at one point I realized that I wasn't feeling anything. So it wasn't having the impact that something normally would, because it was just all mind, and it was cool. It was really cool. But what I realized was that I needed to go inside. And so I found a way to get back to love. And that was through listing all my gratitudes. And this time, I've done gratitude work for decades. But this time, for some reason, the gratitudes hit me right in my heart. And they made my heart explode with love. How grateful I am for so many different things in this life with you. And it just made my heart completely explode with love. And then I was in this place where the third eye was seeing all its stuff, and it was just happening, but I wasn't focused on it. I was focused on the feeling here. And that took me into huge, deep, deep states of bliss. And then the host, when he would bring his dinner, he would say, "How are you feeling, Valerie? How are you feeling?" And he asked me one question, and he said, "Do you ever get to that place in between the words?" And I said, "Yes, I do. And I do more here in the dark than I do at home or any other place that I meditate." And he said, "Sometimes when I'm in the dark, I like to allow my heart to swallow me up completely and listen for that most subtle frequency that I can hear." And that was it. So he just set a little plant, planted another seed. And so I thought, oh, that's my favorite way to meditate, listening to my frequency. I'll do that. I'll allow my heart to swallow me up first. And so on the last day, I took myself in through gratitude into love, into bliss. And from that place of bliss, I just kind of let myself sink down completely into my heart, my consciousness. And so my heart just swallowed me up. And in that space, all of the 3D or the third eye stuff is going wacko, going really crazy, but I didn't focus on it. And I just listened and listened and listened to the most subtle frequency I could hear. And it happened to be, there was a high pitch, but behind that high pitch was this little slow choo, 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 choo. And it was the sound of my blood pumping through my veins. It was very, very subtle, very, very profound. And so once I found that, I went in deeper, 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 deeper. Until what I realized was happening was that I was feeling actual ecstasy in my body. Now, I some of you might not know this. I used to partake in a lot of those kinds of activities. And what I was feeling physically was the effect of the ecstasy pill that I used to take 30 years ago, coming alive in my body. And I believe now what was happening was that my pineal gland was secreting DMT. And so I don't know how long I stayed in that state, but it was very, very profound. It was that place that you're led into a state of sheer ecstasy beyond what words can say. So that's when I knew that I could exit. That was the jewel for me, of the dark. And I came out of the dark the very next day. And so what happened for me was that I got brought back to love in a very deep, profound way. And yeah, it was really worth it.
Wow.
Absolutely worth it.
Awesome. I'm listening to the story. Of course, I've heard it a few times and I love hearing it. But can you tell that there's something different going on with her story? It's not about being in fear and running around the room screaming and I can't be in this anymore. And you can tell Valerie's done some work on herself to allow her to just be in that dark and be with herself and with her feelings and with her thoughts and engage in such a way that she actually gets into ecstasy in the dark. I mean, that's somebody that's kind of really comfortable with, doing this inner work. So the dark room is not for everyone, but for people that are really willing to go deeper in themselves and beyond the thought that says, oh, I can never do that because that's too scary, that's too weird. That's the mind that likes to keep us down, that likes to keep us in this little control box. But Valerie did something where, these, like you would call it, like a spiritual warrior, just goes beyond the box of the self into what's possible. I did a similar thing when I lived in Santa Barbara. We had this yoga studio called Yoga Soup, and upstairs was a coffin. And I laid in the coffin and closed the door and closed up all the little gaps of light so that I could be in that darkness. And that's not for everybody, but it really allowed me to get into this, really being in my own energy, my own field, and feeling what it feels like to just be in my own presence. And going into a dark room like that, man, you're completely in your own presence. And it allows you to kind of find yourself again outside of what your mind thinks you are. Sound right?
Yes, that's pretty good.
So, well, I think that's all we have time for. But that's a pretty quick explanation. But if you're interested in this, there's places around Costa Rica. The one that Valerie went to is in Oregon. What was that called?
Sky Cave Retreats.
Sky Cave Retreats.
In Oregon, outside of Asheville.
It's not cheap.
Ashland.
It's not cheap, but they do take care of you and you got to pay for the flight and all that stuff. But you're completely taken care of and supported. It's not like someone dropped you off in a cave like
No.
I was. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, hope this helps. Hope maybe it inspires you. It's really not just as like a look what I did kind of thing. It's really a way of healing, of resetting our circadian rhythm and healing our body to take us out of all the stuff that kind of has been degrading our body. So it's really not like a thing to be done to say I've done this. It's really not that. It's going into yourself deeper and healing. So
yeah, I highly recommend it.
there you go. Thank you, everyone. Love you. Thank you. Bless you. And see you next time.